Hey YouTube, it's me, Rival Gaz, aka Real Gaz. Thanks for joining me this week in this PhD update. So as you guys know, I've been gaming really hard on Kick streaming, and I am pleased to announce, albeit with a little bit of sadness, that my time on Kick is over. We have successfully done 2,000 hours of Kick streams, gaming in all sorts of ways, culminating in my big accomplishment. I suppose you could call it an accomplishment, but beating those 3 games, the trifecta, just like Kai Cenat did. So shout out to Kai for inspiring me to do that. I also see that he's done a hardcore Minecraft run, and that's something that I have not done. That is something that I am interested in doing and exploring also. So look guys, we did 2,000 hours on Kick, and there's so much to effectively dissect and distill and get into. But that is kind of a topic for another day and a bit beyond the scope of this PhD update. I just wanted to let you guys know that we are no longer streaming every day on Kick, because we've done what we set out to do, which was to, again, get that 2,000 hours, which is the equivalent of Empire Business 4 on Twitch, by the way. We did that on Kick to support Aussie, because they're based in Australia, and the founders are Australian, and I think that the Australian market, albeit small, Aussies have a lot to offer in the creative space and in the content space, especially in gaming and popular culture and all things in between. Obviously, I got to spook myself and back myself and all my other Aussie creators and platforms out there. So last week, what did we discuss? Well, in the last PhD update, I spoke about how I became an Elden Lord. That's right, we beat Elden Ring. But actually, so much stuff happened in between now and then. So for this 20th PhD update, let me tell you what we effectively did once we wrapped up that Kick stream. We just basically spent the last of the week chilling and playing a game called Enter the Gungeon. And the reason why we were playing that game in that final week was because I felt it had a lot of similarities with Elden Ring in terms of having a simplicity about the game design, which requires you to demonstrate very similar competencies as to what happens in Elden Ring, despite one being a bullet hell 2D shooter and the other being like a 3D masterpiece of the Souls genre. If you know the overlap, you know the overlap. Right, so we did that, and then the stream effectively ended. But what was so fascinating about the process was that it actually took a lot longer than expected. We were expecting to finish earlier, but something went wrong. And that thing that went wrong was with stream charts. So who is stream charts? What is stream charts? These guys are a third-party, independent group based in the Ukraine. That's right, they're based in Ukraine, and they are effectively the authority on streaming analytics for all sorts of content platforms, including Twitch and YouTube. Basically, they keep track of what you do, and you can pay them a lot of money. And they do this also in the big wide world of esports is where they do this as well. But what I noticed is that they were just flat out not recording my days. So for example, because I was streaming full time, 9 to 5, 7 days a week, it was important to me that I knew that I could finish on time on a certain date. So we had sort of planned it to land, kind of like coming for a landing, so to speak, as if we were, like flying planes. And, well, when they weren't recording the days, it effectively meant that I could not go and broadcast that open day here at Charles Darwin University because I had to get my hours done, right? And I wasn't really prepared or in the mood to deviate from what we needed to do because I saw things as a problem. So they kind of complicated things for me, I can confess. But in the end, we got it around, and I'm pleased to say that we independently recorded at a sizable number of hours now, 2,000. So that's my big streaming accomplishment. That's 2,000 hours of gaming and streaming and creating OC content live, proudly produced here in Darwin, Northern Territory, Australia, for our majority viewership, which is on the west coast of America. So in between now and then, I've just released a few different videos because I'm doing my editing phase now. So this is important to the PhD update. So part of what I do is that I got to create an artifact for this PhD, right? And so I'm going to be creating my own artifacts and putting them all together so that way we can get a better appreciation of what elite gaming is, and in particular help us understand my proposed 5-factor model into elite gaming. I'm also going to be sort of comparing and contrasting this to similar artifacts that we find on the internet that will help us to know what elite gaming is. In simple terms, it's basically going to be my content versus other people's content, and then we're going to go and analyze all of this. Now, the type of an analysis that we're going to do will really be contingent on a whole bunch of different factors, but we will be doing more than just simply looking at content. We've got all sorts of other research methods that we plan to execute as well. And part of my PhD being in a research training program is that I'm going to be able to have the opportunity to demonstrate my ability to be a academic scholar and researcher in a few different capacities, in a few different ways. So I'm really excited for that. But basically, because I got the 2,000 hours, I've done 4,000 hours in total now. So yeah, I can stream. Yeah, I can game. Yeah, I can get accomplishments in that time. So now it's just about making the artifacts and practicing that side of it as well, right? And it's been a real thrill. And hopefully you guys can see that I've been surely and steadily improving what I do on the content front on YouTube and across our social media. Looking at social media is it's been a challenge because it's not something that necessarily comes naturally per se, because like I have alluded to in these past updates, like it's a big, wide world out there, a big media industry, a big marketing machine, and you kind of just gotta like find your feet in there. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're finding this balance between what is gaming, what is just content, what is influencing, what is like the academic side of it, and sharing that knowledge, and we're getting there. There are some things that have happened though outside of just making content. So my supervisor, our original supervisor, Professor Brabazon, is no longer in the picture, but we have been reflecting on a whole bunch of lessons that we learned from them of late. And not only that, our current, and I'm most grateful for their support and backing, our current supervisor, Dr. Sefton Ralston, who was a Fulbright scholar and the director of the arts program. So if you do a Bachelor of Arts at a university type of thing, she has received a promotion, I believe, and is more heavily involved in the research side of things now for the entire faculty. And that is just incredible career advancement for her. And I'm so pleased to be working with someone who is as talented and capable as they are. It's going to make what I do a lot more streamlined because I'm in good hands, and I have not only the flexibility and backing to do what I need to do despite not getting the scholarship. Remember what I said, guys. I'm going to change my tune. No one else is going to sing this place's praises, and no one else is going to criticize this place better or worse than me. So I'm going to have to set the standard for what I think. I'm creating the discourse, and I say this place is all right. Just because I didn't win, it's fine to be salty, but it's not fine to be that way and get jaded forever type of thing. So water under the bridge. So they got ahead, I'm getting ahead, and we have also accepted, just in case y'all forgot, we also accepted the opportunity to review that article for that Game Studies journal, and I will also be submitting an article in that game studies journal, I want to look at Toil, based on Bill Young, the top head honcho for gaming on Twitch, and the conversation that we kind of had in a comment exchange on LinkedIn. Now, there's a few different sort of game updates that I'd like to talk you through this week as well. And I got to apologize for my accent kind of just fluctuating all over the place. It is everything to do with just trying to get in, get out, break out of character and habit and so on and so forth, and just general rival gas things. So, Counter-Strike 2. Let's talk about Counter-Strike 2. Let's talk about Valve. Let's talk about Razer. Let's talk about Wooting. Who are all these guys? So for the uninitiated, Valve makes video games. Razer makes computer components, and so does Wooting. Counter-Strike 2 is a video game that is sort of kind of lost its way in some respects because it's leaning into the Gamba side of it, and they found a way to monetize it. But I don't think that really takes the edge off the purity of the sport and the elite gaming that's possible in that title. Nonetheless, these new keyboards have come out and they redefine how you play. So effectively, keyboards are the way they are because computers were slow once upon a time and we were too fast. Now, computers are too fast and we are too slow. And someone kind of just challenged the paradigm and made it so there was a keyboard available that could make you faster than other players. And Valve, the people who make video games, have said, in this particular video game that is a bona fide esport, we don't like any of that stuff and it's banned. So I like three things about this. I don't really like the banning thing or whatever, but I like three things that come to mind about this. The first thing is that we're finally getting into the realms of sort of standardization about what it means to play these kind of esports. Secondly, there's still so much improvement to come in our technology and how we interact with the computers to play. And thirdly, what I find so fascinating is that there are probably a gazillion, that's right, super scientific and academic, an entire gazillion different ways for which players have been getting an edge and probably still are getting an edge in these esports. And so that kind of heightens my inner skepticism about what really is elite performance. That's why a five-factor model has so many factors. It's because you got to be more holistic and just not judge on a single thing alone. I actually came across a different topic that I want to raise with you guys now, only very briefly, which is a Reddit thread in gaming. So r/gaming, the topic being, and I'll read it to you, what game gave you a bad habit early on that you just couldn't shake, right? And I don't want to go into the comments and just steal other people's OC, but guys, bad habits in gaming are ridiculous. And they're so easy to acquire, and game developers as well are guilty of this too. Not only do we have different controllers with different button layouts, not only do we have the ability to customize how we play with these layouts, and not only do we have all these different developers making the same type of games in the same genres, just in their own flavor and way, we have quite literally those things compounded by a need to differentiate. And so effectively what happens, I find, is that there are many players who can play many games and they can get good habits in one game, which is a bad habit in another game. And so habit formation in gaming and good habits in gaming for the game that you play is something that we need to explore more, and is something that I am conscientious of in the realm of more traditional human performance and athletics as not necessarily being a bad thing. What do I mean? What I mean is that take any sport you want to play. If you go in your off season and just do some ballet, you're probably going to get some benefits. But it could be completely possible that while you're doing that off-season ballet, you might pick up some bad habits in what it is that you really do. It's also completely possible that what it is that you really do could be giving you a whole bunch of bad habits that are preventing you from being an elite gamer in other different games as well. So in my own experience, when you watch me play my games, it usually takes me a while to ramp up into the game. Even if it's Hades, the longer I'm away for, the more of the ramp up, but I'm usually able to take a break and return and improve. And I find that is the case for most of the people that I've observed in their gaming and those who are trying to be as good as they can be. So yeah, habits in gaming, good habits, bad habits. I think there's some subjectivity and it's important to be objective about it. But this is something that leads into another thing, and it's called twitching, and not Twitch, the content platform for which you can watch your favorite streamers, but just the idea of the Twitch. The classic that comes to mind is the old school World of Warcraft player that smashes the C button to bring up the character pane. But you've probably seen twitching in one form or another in various different games, and maybe nowadays you might see twitching as like unnecessary building in Fortnite, for example, or skibidi movement, just trying to like get from A to B, and they're just putting a lot of work into that movement, but there isn't necessarily any real tactical advantage for doing so, or any kind of advantage for doing so. They're just doing it. You know what I mean? Because they're just smashing the keys, because that's just what they do. It's kind of like when you shake your leg. You know, you're just shaking, shaking, shaking. Next topic. Chaos Divers and Helldivers 2. I actually find this completely fascinating, how Helldivers 2, the PlayStation, Sony side of it, and the PC side of it, how the developers are kind of in the middle and don't really care. They're just happy to have people playing their games and their game headcanon and fantasy about what's going on in Helldivers. But, okay, what is a Chaos Diver? So basically, Helldivers is a cooperative game, and now apparently there are players who are playing this game and they're just being completely adversarial and ruining the entire experience and stopping things from going ahead, right? So the mission is no longer able to be completed because people's missions are to stop the mission. It's crazy, and people are dying over and over and over again, like they're getting all their reinforcement budget, their lives, as it's known in this game, taken away. This thread in particular that I'm looking at now is about a player expressing their discontent after being killed 6 times by Chaos Divers. And it's very prevalent in Helldivers, at least, how people can kind of play how they want to play. We have a community member called the Tony, and Tony's friends in his Helldivers community that he's a part of are all about being super special forces style Helldivers, where they play with no reinforcement budget. So they try not to die on level 10 super Helldives like Rival Gas, the greatest. So people play the game however they want to play the game, right? But the challenge is that the game itself is being sold and made and marketed around a core theme. And if you're not able to do that anymore, then you're not really able to play the game, are you? Like, we're here to play Helldivers, not Chaos Divers. So I feel so bad for the people at Helldivers and Arrowhead and Sony, because it was my opinion that Helldivers 2 should be winning Game of the Year. But I don't think that's going to be the case, especially because we've got Black Myth Wukong out. Black Myth Wukong being the sort of the golden egg based on incredible literary work with the best of the best from the Chinese game scene. Apparently they all come from Tencent or something like this. It's smashing every record in and on Steam. Even Asmongold is getting involved in it, sending them apparently his CPU so that way they can like use a laser to cut it in half so they can debug the problem. Black Myth Wukong apparently is an action game that has everything that you didn't get in Elden Ring. So that's the thing with newer games. They can come out and they can capitalize on all the best things that other people have seen. But this game, from what I can see, is truly a special game. And I want to talk about its sales and its peaking and its sort of market dominance right now. And I'm just going to come out and say it. The West, so like American and Japanese game designers, you guys need to be on watch. You guys are on watch because I think the Chinese game scene is coming out. The Korean game scene is coming out. I won't be surprised if these guys make a console one day and really bring the fight to you. Because I don't really know what's going on. Because like you look at Ubisoft and what they did with their Skull and Bones, Sea of Thieves type of situation, and I saw a tweet this very morning where apparently less than 500 players are playing that game right now. And then you've got Netflix games. You've got all these people making all these games and all these indies and all this stuff, and people want the platinum experience, not just the diversity that's out there in the game scene. And I welcome China into the game scene. I loved Eastward. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, I actually think like there's a bit of an industry shift going on with this. And Black Myth Wukong, I can't wait to come back and play it. Just like how I just cannot wait to come back and play the new World of Warcraft expansion that is releasing today basically in early access, but I will not be playing that because I am on a content editing hiatus right now. Speaking, if we go back to Counter-Strike, do you guys know that Neuralink, people with Neuralink are playing that game now, which is so radical because you can just play that game with your brain. And what is the next level of gameplay that's going to be unlocked? And what does that mean for all the people who play this way, who ordinarily can't play these kind of games? It's fascinating. I don't know. Will Rival Gaz get a Neuralink? Maybe. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I was actually talking to Grok, Twitter's X's AI, about bringing the content over to X, because when Elon Musk did his talk with Donald Trump, Elon shared the demographic information, and the demographic information that is on Twitter X right now is the same demographic information and spread that applies to my stream and my content. So I feel like my content has a place on X. But speaking of all these different platforms, I would like to go back to Twitch and talk about Twitch's DJ program. Twitch's DJ program is where you can kind of use music that's usually you wouldn't be allowed to use or whatnot. And you can do this now because you're DJing. But apparently because this is all built into the system, it means that if you are not DJing and that music that's in the DJing part of it of Twitch, kind of just like if wires get crossed, you're going to get yourself into a bit of trouble potentially. And then effectively the only way out of it is to be enrolled in the DJ program. Now Twitch seems to have a bit of a knack for rolling out ideas and features that half-baked is not the right way of looking at it, but it's just to say that like they roll out some stuff and then there's some teething and growing pains and then they get it right. And I think it'll be the same with the DJ program, and I think it'll be the same with Twitch's Knock Knock. Even I was knocking on the Knock Knock on Twitter. What does that mean? So Twitch came up with an idea apparently. I saw a tweet that said something along the lines of, hey, I'm the Twitch ambassador that said that this was a good idea. So Knock Knock basically is where any kind of streamers or whatever can knock knock on another streamer's stream, and then they can sort of join in on the fun. And then everyone gets to watch two streamers on the one stream. Apparently, VTubers is scared because the feature automatically turns on the webcam, and VTubers don't use their real faces. You know, they use their VTubers. It's something that they got to keep working on. But let's go back to Steam. Talking about work. Somebody has spent over $500,000, I'm not sure if it's US, I wouldn't be surprised, to reach the highest level account on Steam. Now, is this person an elite gamer? Because they have the highest level account, right? Is it just pay to win? It's just pay to win? I'm not sure. And for those of you going back to Black Myth Wukong who want to know more about the game, I implore all of you to go and check out The Journey to the West, the original book. I wouldn't mind reading The Journey to the West again. I read it a very long time ago when I was growing up. I could definitely read it again, though. So, guys, let's just do our recap and just from start to finish, so that way you know where I'm at and what's going on. Also, the Mafia franchise is on sale on Steam, and there is a new Mafia game due to come out coming soon, 2025. So the recap. I'm no longer streaming on Kick. Doesn't mean that I won't stream there ever again. I'm just saying I've done my time and I'm moving on, focusing on the next goal. I don't know where we're going to stream next. I've got 2,000 hours of content that I need to go through. I've got so many games like Black Myth, World of Warcraft, Stellar Blade, and everything to come back and stream, and I'm very excited to stream and do all of that stuff. But there's also PhD stuff that's happening. I've got an article to write, an article to review. The confirmation of candidature is all pretty much ready to go. I'm going to be submitting that not this week, but next week at the end of the month. So that way by the end of September, when my supervisor returns, because I'm fairly sure that they are going to do some travel the world, or go somewhere for a conference, just academic things. When they're back, we'll all get together and hash out my confirmation. I'm very confident in it. I work closely with everyone who I can work closely with to get it there. And I'm also pleased to say that I've just effectively got a little bit of a tone rewrite to do, because like I said before, I was in a negative state, but we're turning a corner and everything is coming up Millhouse for Rival Gas. So I'm going to change it so that way it's not so raw, and it's just like more good news, and everyone who's going to read it is just going to go, hell yeah, this is the best, right? I don't need to wear my heart on my sleeve anymore. What I need to do is lead everybody to where we need to go, and that's what we're going to be doing with my research there. So guys, I'm just super thrilled. Thanks for joining me on this quick update.